Welcome to the UEFA Champions League Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the west coast of the U.S., Josh Lander, joined as always by Dan Tracey across the pond. How are you today, Dan?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Had a week off last week from Champions League duty, but we're back in the swing of it this time around. So March has arrived, it's crept up from nowhere. I guess we're in that kind of business end of the soccer season, so it's all to play for in this week's Champions League clashes, and I can't wait to discuss all four of them.
Yeah, and hopefully some of these teams are in peak form after having some time back to get used to things. As you say, it's already March somehow. We're going to be looking at games that will be taking place on March the 7th, Tuesday, and then we'll also have a video up for you guys with the Wednesday games this week, which will be super fun as well. That's a really great slate there, so make sure to like and subscribe to that page and continue to follow along. Dan and I are coming back to you each and every game of this Champions League until we do crown a winner. Dan has all his great articles up on thelines.com as well, so everything we're talking about and all his best bets that he continues to win all of us money. I'm tailing him, so I would recommend doing the same, as he's been winning us money since the World Cup here on thelines.com. Make sure to check all that out. We're going to start with the better of the two games, let's say, or at least a more entertaining probably game of the first slate here on Tuesday, which is Chelsea and Dortmund. We are back in England here, obviously, for Chelsea, which is helpful as they are down in the series now 1-0 after Dortmund pulled out that win in Germany there. Chelsea's minus 120 on the money line. Dortmund is plus 320 to pull out the win there in regulation, and then a draw would be plus 280. So at this point, Dan, and I would also mention Chelsea to advance is plus 120. I don't know if that's really juicy enough, but it sounds like obviously they're bigger favorites here. So where do you start when you're looking for value in this one?
Well, you said it's going to be the entertaining of the two clashes, but I'm not sure if it is actually, because Chelsea can't hit a barn door at the moment. They're absolutely dreadful. You know, this could be famous last words, but when you look at their run of goal-scoring form since the World Cup return, 6 goals, which is absolutely dreadful. They've got all these neat players in the final third of the pitch. You know, they've added João Felix in the past month or so. You know, Kai Havertz as well. You know, Raheem Sterling, Mason Mount, all these kind of tricky, neat players who can play off a striker. The problem is they haven't got a striker, and this is the problem that's sort of letting them down. So I've actually gone first up for a draw and under 2.5 goals at plus 380, which I think is a really good price actually, because I just don't see Chelsea winning. Like what you quoted as the odds for them to win in 90 minutes, I think that's a terrible price. I mean, if you were to pick a 90-minute outcome, I'd be sticking it all on Dortmund at plus 350, plus 333. I mean, why not? I mean, I think that's a great price in isolation, but I reckon it's going to be a draw because Dortmund don't have to win this game. So, you know, they've got that 1-0 advantage, and if they can sit on that, if it's 1-1, 0-0, fantastic for them. So I just feel that Chelsea's MO at the moment has been games of under 2.5 goals. You know, they're not scoring goals. Teams they're playing are scoring 1-2. They're not really smashing Chelsea, but Chelsea are offering absolutely nothing. So I've got a certain feeling it's going to be the same. So a 0-0 draw, a 1-1 draw, we're quids in at plus 380. I think it's a great bet.
Yeah, I mean, 380 is very juicy. I love the sound of that. I mean, Chelsea's a team that needs to really obtain the lead to be as effective as they can, and that's the only way that I think that bet takes a little bit more of a it would be a little bit more dicey if obviously Chelsea scores early. If they do score early, I mean, you're still looking pretty decent at an under. You still just need one from Benfica, and you have to imagine they'd be still going all out at that point to get that 1-1 tie. So even an early goal from Chelsea doesn't sink you, but it obviously the game theory you would love is for that to sort of be abstained. Maybe a nice draw at the half, a 0-0 would be a beautiful start for that bet, and that I suppose brings us to your second best bet as well, just sort of continuing the thought process of a draw in this one ending at final time, right?
Yeah, that's right. You mentioned the 0-0 draw, and that would be perfect from 45 minutes at half time, because I've also gone for a half time tie or draw and a full time tie, so that's plus 575. So all we need is a stalemate at 45 minutes and another stalemate at 90 minutes. We're absolutely fine there. So if it was 2-2, it would ruin our first bet. But as I said, I can't see Chelsea scoring 2 goals. So I'm not too concerned about that one being blown out the water by that score. However, if you say, you know, as you said, 0-0, perfect. If Dortmund get the first goal as they did in Germany, that's going to coach Chelsea out. So as long as they do it in the same half, it could be 1-1 at the interval and it's no more goals in the second half. Either way, as long as we've got 2 ties at each 45-minute interval, I think, again, it's a really good price. I mean, I'm banking a lot on the draw. I understand that. But I just can't see a Chelsea win. And as I said, Dortmund don't have to win this. And although it's very dangerous to play for a draw. They're not going to go to West London and think, right, we only need a draw. But in the back of their mind, they're thinking we don't have to go for gold in this sense of we have to go out and win it. If we get that first goal, we can just relax a bit. Chelsea are going to have to then throw the kitchen sink. They might get the one goal, but I can't see them winning, and that's why I backed the half-time draw and the full-time draw.
And I think it makes perfect sense, and I think obviously it's a game where if Dortmund can control the ball where they control the ball would be really nice for them to continue to keep it in the center half and obviously in the attacking third and just possess it up there and lollygag. I probably shouldn't have said the more entertaining of the games, as I think there's probably going to be more goals scored in the other game. I should have said the more competitive game.
Yes,
is what I should have said. But we're both sitting here rooting for unders all over the place, so we're sort of being curmudgeon-y in that sense. But this is about winning money, and those are some really, really nice odds. Love the halftime, full-time to be tied at both instances. So let's move on to the game that should have a bit more goals. Benfica is back at home taking on Bruges with a 2-0 advantage already now in this in this match here in the round of 16. So Benfica to win this match is minus 230 at home, where they play very, very well, we should say. A draw would be plus 370, and Bruges to pull out the miraculous victory would be plus 600 after a pretty poor showing in that first leg. They don't really have much in the way of team chemistry at this point. They changed managers not even a month ago, I think, at this point as well, just after the group stage ended. So there's not much there. They don't have much of a chance of winning the Belgian league at this point. They're off the table there. So maybe this is a one last one for the Gipper, whoever is that the manager at this point. But not much confidence in the Belgians at this point for me. How about yourself?
No, I don't share any confidence there at all, because home advantage in the first leg, they blew it. I predicted a 2-0 Benfica win. We got that spot on, so big money there, plus 700. So we've started our Champions League pot very well, and I think in this instance, we spoke about entertainment. I feel this one, it's not going to be competitive, but I've got a feeling there's going to be goals. So for this reason, I've gone for Benfica and over 3.5 in total, which means a 3-1 win would work, a 4-0 win would work just as well. I just can't see sort of Bruges really getting a foothold in this game. They might get a consolation, which would help the total goal score. So we kind of maybe want them to get a goal, because Benfica scoring 4 might be a bit too much. But I just feel that Benfica, they've got 1 foot in the round 16, in the round of 8. So they could take it easy, but they're not really a team to sort of just lay down the tools and think, right, they're a team to sort of think, we're going to smash this team, we're going to sort of crush them and get really the job done. So I just think, Club Brugge, they are the minnows in this stage of the tournament. Someone's got to meet them. Benfica was not the toughest draw, but still tough enough. So I feel Benfica are going to use that home advantage and be assertive in this second leg. And I feel it's going to be a multitude of goals, which is why I've gone for a Benfica win and over 3.5 in total at plus 225.
It's good odds. Obviously, if you drop that down to 2.5 and don't necessarily need to rely on Bruges to even get a consolation goal, and you still feel comfortable about a 3-0 win, I think 3 goals feels about right for Benfica to be able to score here. I think they know that there's still, pretty long odds for them to win this thing all the way to the end. And so why not continue to put some goals in the back of the net? I just, as a potentially more tentative bet, if you'd like to get, it's much closer to even odds, slightly worse on DraftKings, I believe, for Benfica to win and over 2.5. A little bit safer if you wanted that. But like you said, we've already got some money in pocket from the plus 700, which also means we can probably have a bit more fun with this game as well. In how we bet it. So let's talk to the people for the first time on this show yet about what we call bands.
Yes, as you say, this is the first time I've really looked into bands, but I thought it's not the same as a standard over X.5. I thought actually it gives you a little bit more of a scope. So what you're doing here, your bands will be one of 3 options. You could have bands of 1 to 3 plus goals. This instance, it's 0 to 2 plus goals. So the market offers you 3 options. Those options in this instance are Benfica to score no goals in the first half, Benfica to score 1 goal in the first half, Benfica to score 2 or more in the first half. So we're looking at the first 45 minutes, and I've gone for the option of 2 or more, because if I'm thinking there's going to be 4 in total, I kind of need some of that legwork to be done in the first 45 minutes. So plus 155, it's not an outrageously big price, but I feel it's it's still plus odds. It's still a decent amount of value. So we could go for just over 1.5 goals in the game. Again, that would rely on maybe Bruges chipping in. But in this instance, it's just all Benfica. So you're kind of looking at it from 3 different options. and you just want to sort of have lots of goals, really. So it's just something new, something different. I like to try and sort of open it out to as many markets as possible. So yeah, I just feel it's just something a little different than over 1.5 for Benfica, because probably a little bit more money there. So yeah, we've gone for goal bands in this instance.
Yeah, it's an interesting bet. We've talked about it before briefly, but there's a ton of very fun ways and interesting ways to bet on the sport of soccer and football, as it's known everywhere else, even more so than some of the other sports, just because of the makeup of it and the sort of lack of scoring compared to maybe some other sports. But this is a good way to be able to bet on Benfica to get those 2 goals in the first half. Like you say, if we're expecting multiples of goals, you got to expect them to come out and really try to end this thing a bit early. In which case, I think this is a super fun bet, and like we said, we've already got some money in hand to be able to find some fun ways to continue to bet on a game that we don't think will have much in the way of competitive spirit, but hopefully we will see the ball hit the back of the net a bunch of times. So that's all the time we have for you in this one. As we said, we are talking about the Tuesday games here on March the 7th. Also have those March 8th Wednesday games up, of some very fun games on that day as well. So continue to follow along with us, and until we see you next, happy betting.